The police learned that only 3 people had visited Robert that day. First was his wife, Linda Grayson, a no-nonsense woman with a habit of organizing everything in sight. She'd dropped by that morning with a thermos of soup and a ham sandwich, insisting Robert never ate unless she reminded him. She said they'd bickered about his late hours before she left around 10 a.m. Next came his nephew, Nicholas Grayson, a wiry young man with a sly smile and a history of small-time trouble. Nicholas claimed he'd visited at noon to get advice on a college chemistry project, staying for 20 minutes before heading off to meet friends. Last was Robert's old friend, Thomas Reed, a fellow scientist with a weathered face and a warm laugh. Thomas had swung by in the late afternoon, a bottle of whiskey in hand, to toast a recent breakthrough they'd worked on together. He said Robert was in high spirits when he left just before sunset. Back at the station, Detective Henshaw spread the crumpled paper on her desk, staring at Robert's list. Oxygen, carbon, nickel, lanthanum, sulfur. The interviews hadn't cracked the case. Linda's grief seemed real, but she'd been home alone all afternoon. No one could vouch for her. Nicholas's story wobbled. His friends couldn't pin down when he'd arrived to meet them. Thomas was steady and helpful, yet Clara noticed his hands shook slightly as he recounted his visit. No solid evidence pointed to any of them, and the trail was growing cold. But that list nagged at her. She grabbed a notepad and started writing the chemical symbols. O for oxygen, C for carbon, Ni for nickel, La for lanthanum, S for sulfur. O, C, N, I, L, A, S, she whispered. Was this a code? She leaned back, her mind racing. Could it be Linda, the wife who'd argued with Robert that morning? Was there more to her frustration than she'd let on? Or Thomas, the loyal friend? Might a disagreement over their research have turned deadly despite his calm exterior? And then there was Nicholas, the nephew with the shifting alibi. Could his visit have been a cover for something darker? Listeners, what do you think? Who among these 3, Linda, Nicholas, or Thomas, might Robert's final message be pointing to? Was it a crime of anger, jealousy, or greed? Did those chemicals that were written on the paper mean anything? Could they hint at a name, a motive, a secret? The police solved this puzzle and arrested the killer that night. Can you figure out who it was and why? Comment your guess down below. Like, subscribe, and follow for more stories.